So this is the last part, part 5 of our 5-part course. So we are nearing the end of managerial accounting. And today I am going to cover just 2 sections of chapter 8. So if you look at the syllabus, we're behind a class. It's actually amazing we're only behind 1 class. And so I'm dropping part of chapter 8. And next week we will do chapter 12, capital budgeting. Okay, so today I'm going to do 2 different videos. The first one will be about pricing. So a couple things about pricing. The book talks about the difference between price setters and price takers. So price setters are companies that can essentially charge what they would like because they have an excellent reputation. So if we were in class, I would ask you to give me an example. And hopefully someone might say Mercedes. Okay, Mercedes is an example of a price setter. You can certainly buy a cheaper car if you want a car than a Mercedes, but they can charge that because they have a great reputation. On the flip side, we have companies that are price takers. In other words, it is a very competitive market and people will buy their products probably because they're the cheapest. So for example, I was in Sam's Club today and their Members Mark products, which is their own private label, are usually the cheapest. So in that sense, Sam's Club is a price taker for their Members Mark products. Okay, so let's go through an example of the difference and how these calculate out. Now the good news is none of these problems in chapter 8 that we're going to cover require any new special formulas. It's basically using our good common sense and what we know about fixed and variable costs to come up with prices. So, chapter 8, as I said, this is problems S2 and S3. So they both are about a company, Winter Resorts, that owns a ski lift resort. They have investors. The investors have invested $100 million into this ski resort. And the investors want a 15% return on their investment. Okay, so 15% on $100 million is $15 million. They also tell us in the problem that fixed costs are $33,750,000. And lastly, we are told that variable costs are $10 per ticket. And they expect to sell 750,000 tickets this season. Now they have a wonderful reputation, and so they are going to use cost plus pricing because they are a price setter. So the first question is, what should they charge? Okay, well $10 for variable costs times 750,000 tickets will be $7,500,000. So we're going to add these 3 together. The investment, 15 plus 33,750 plus 7,500,000, and that will give us $56,250,000 as their total costs. And since they are, as I said, a price setter, they have an excellent reputation, and they expect to sell 750,000 tickets, they will charge for this upcoming season $75. So I simply took the total costs for this particular company and divided it by 750,000 tickets. So there's your $75 a ticket. Now, in S3, things are changing a little bit. The ski resort's reputation has deteriorated, and they can only charge $65 a ticket. So we're going to move some things around because the question is, how much will the investors get? Because the fixed costs are still the same and the variable costs are still the same. So I'm going to erase this because that's what we're solving for. Now, we have the ticket price, and it's $65 a ticket. So let's see, what are the revenues? The revenues are going to be $65 a ticket times 750,000 tickets. So $48,750,000. That's going to be their total revenues. We will subtract the fixed costs. We will subtract the variable costs. And we should come up with $7,500,000. It's just a coincidence that these amounts are the same, by the way. So the question in the book was, what percent will the investors get, and will they be happy? Well, I don't know if they'll be happy. I doubt it, because this divided by $100 million is 7.5%. 7.5%, which is half of the 15% they wanted. So the answer for the second part for S3 is, well, if it's $65 a ticket, the investors would get 7.5%. Okay, we are now given a third set of situations. We still have the fact that their reputation has deteriorated, but the investors said, we are unhappy and we want a better return on our investments. We want that 15%. I think they're being greedy, but who am I to say? Okay, so the leadership says, well, I'll tell you what, we can come up with some savings. We're going to get the fixed costs down to 30 million. So 30 million here. The question is going to be, what will the variable costs be? So I'm going to take this out and put back in how much our friends, the investors, are getting, which is back to $15 million. Okay, so 48 million less 30 minus 15, that's 45. That's going to give us $3,875,000 available for variable costs. So 3,875 divided by 750,000. So $5 for variable costs, which is a significant change and may not be realistic. But you can see how we can continue to adjust these amounts and see the impact, number one, on the reputation, whether or not they could get $75 versus $65 a ticket, what the investors would get, what happens with fixed costs, and what happens with variable costs. And that, class, is my pricing example. I will be back to you shortly with our discontinued operations example. I will see you all soon.